Make sure it's going there.
Now we've
Let's
got it.
get going. All right.
All right.
All right. So JD's overview. We have been working on something pretty cool. And I think that a lot of people think it's pretty awesome.
I hope so.
It's a song that I wrote for a specific situation and for a specific person. I guess I'll start by giving you some background on that. So, I uh, I personally wrote a song for a guy named Phil Demers or Demers. I don't really know how to say it. I've heard it a few different ways. So, personally wrote a song for this guy. This guy worked at Marineland, which is like Canadian SeaWorld. He worked at Marineland in the Niagara Falls area from the year 2000 to 2012, and about halfway there during his tenure. I don't know how to say words sometimes. Sorry. Um, about halfway through his tenure, he experienced something very profound and something that a lot of people won't experience in their lifetime, unless you're just a huge animal lover, and then you'll definitely experience it. He imprinted on a baby wild caught walrus, and how this happened was they were trying to test this walrus that they had just gotten in to Marineland. They were trying to test this walrus's blood to make sure everything was cool. And walruses are heavy, you know. I think it's like a couple tons, like
Yeah.
1,000 to 3,000 or 4,000. It's something ridiculous, extremely heavy. So to do this, you have to put a net over the walrus, and then somebody has to basically straddle it, hold on, get on there and use their little bit of body weight compared to the walrus to try and hold it still and relax it while the doctor draws blood. While doing this, Phil was the guy who was calming the walrus. He attempted something different. He laid his hands over the walrus's face, and unbeknownst to him at the time, he actually imprinted on the walrus. So for those of you who don't know animals and things like that very well, I didn't when I was discovering this story. Imprinting means like the walrus now believes that Phil is his mother. It will react to his smell, his voice, even if you are 100 yards away. Walruses will hear him whispering, and it just knows that it needs to be next to him. Phil's going to take care of it. That's what's in the walrus's brain in that instant. So, making a long story short, through his tenure, through dealing with Smooshi and dealing with other animals, he realized that Marineland was going about a lot of things wrong when it come to training the animals. Apparently, they do drug them with human psychs and other things. Just test drugs on these animals, figure out which ones make them calm and which ones make them responsive to training. And the training is not so good either. Not only are they giving them drugs, or do they, or had they at the time. There's no telling what they do now. It could be worse, could be better. Uh, Through that, they would also use food deprivation and things to train their animals. There was an instant that Phil talks about. By the way, there's a great documentary called "The Walrus and the Whistleblower" that I bought immediately upon learning of his story. You're gonna want to check that out. Uh, there was also instances of water not being safe for some of the animals there. Too much chlorine had to be used on the count of their water systems not working properly or something to that effect. I'm not going to try to get into way too much detail because it's not my story to tell, first of all, and second, I don't want to get anything wrong. So anyways, William here, he helped me put this song together and record it, and he added some things for both of us. And I think,
Production wise,
yeah, production wise, he added some instrumentation too and wrote on it. He did some voices on it with me. But I wrote it for Phil and I sent it to him today. I actually sent him a rough demo not too long ago. But yeah, we're gonna listen to the song together, and
and we're gonna have a little screen up showing both of our reactions as we're listening to it.
yeah.
And this is only gonna be like the third or fourth time that Zach's heard the final mix.
So another thing I gotta mention before we start though is something I completely veered off from and forgot. Phil's story, he notices some bad things going on here. He leaves, he quits in 2012, and speaks out about it, speaks out about the dangers and what's going on there. Since then, he hasn't been allowed to see this walrus that still to this day believes is his mother or her mother. Her name is Smooshi. I don't know what else to tell. He's been speaking very vulgar. The story is famous now. I mean, the guy's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on Mike Tyson's hot boxing with Mike Tyson, whatever that podcast is called. And I think that it's going to be. Hopefully, he hears it and loves it. And yeah, we just want to play it. And after we play it, we'll talk about the story more. While we're playing it, you're going to see a picture of Phil and Smooshi on the screen. And yeah. Let's just get to it.
Let's do it.
Hopefully everybody can hear it too.
I think they should be able.
Who are we to hide and question what lies in front of these suggestions? Suing for the revolution to stop. As we all rose up to protest, we saw marching toward us with lawyers and serpents, agendas of greed and performing with no other purpose, trapped in a square surrounded by bars. Rest are all gone, and now she's only left with scars. I'll tell you what we're all gonna stand and do. Get another approach, cause we're still not impressed with you. I wonder even if you dare to say her name, regardless of your answer. Know you're to blame. And what's your name? Marine Wonderland is going down. It's a matter of time for the guilty are tried and down. If you people don't mind, I'll bring you along. Come along with me. Sing old Phil and Smooshi a song like this. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free.
So that was that, and I love it. I think it turned out pretty good, even if people laugh at it. I don't care. I think it's great, and so to get a little deeper into it, there's way more to the story. Like I said, I don't want to give too many personal details, I guess, but Phil is a really down to earth guy, and I saw his story on Joe Rogan. He went on there a few years ago, and then came on recently again. It was like right at the end of 2020 or the beginning of this year. And he's dealing with 8 years of lawsuits. So what happened is he speaks out, and this is the general story for anybody who like speaks out against a corporation.
Yeah.
He speaks out, and he immediately gets sued, and he gets sued for $1.5 million. I guess it's not immediately, but a few weeks after he speaks out. So there's already protests at this point in time. This is 2012. There's already protests, first of all, going on for years in the Niagara Falls area for the animals at Marineland. And you've got years of 15, 20, maybe 30 at the most popping up to do that. And then Phil comes out with his story. And not only are his claims valid and true, but he has other people that are ex-employees of Marineland that joined in on that as well and backed him up. So now he's got a small group of people basically putting their word on it, and this has become a huge story. Like I said, Joe Rogan and everyone. So they sue him to shut him up, and those lawsuits, they've been dealing with litigation for 8 years, and it's pretty ridiculous. So there are places you can go. You can go to. There's a website for Smooshi and everything, and I'll find that and put it up. But yeah. So let's see where would.
So it's been 8 years that this has been going on.
Yeah, 8 years. He comes out in 2012. He's just tired of it. So first of all, he's dealt with, and there's video proof of these things in the documentary, and I guess their now videos are all over online, the ones from the documentary. He taped everything from his time there, not every single thing, but a lot of things that he noticed. And at the time, I don't know if he really knew what he was up to with, just taping everything, but he just did. And you've got videos of training by food deprivation. You've got videos of chemical burns from increased use of chlorine in the tanks. You have videos of just sad animals, like very sad animals, not okay with their environment at all. It's like a 6x6 square that Smooshi lives in, and I'm sure the other animals don't have much more space. It's like 6x6, 8x8, something 8x10, very, very small space for an animal that large to live in. So yeah, it's pretty bad. He spoke out. They've tried to silence him, and still in litigation. So I don't know what else to.
For trying to kidnap a walrus.
Oh yeah, that was the claim. Sue him for $1.5 million. I don't know if that was in the same claim, but at some point during litigation or at the beginning, he had posted something on Twitter, something dumb like "Life is short, still a walrus," and they, of course, went after him for that. I think everybody needs to check out the documentary first of all. It's insane. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that everyone's focused on that is political, and there are people like this doing something that actually means something. So he actually got some laws changed. They were grandfathered in, so these laws that changed don't necessarily apply to Marineland and all the animals they owned beforehand, but the law basically forbids the capture of, I think it's like dolphins, porpoises, like just there's a list, whales. How do you say? I don't know legal talk. Forbids the capture of them in Canada. Prohibits. Prohibition. Prohibits the capture. So yeah, there's that, which is great. He got that changed in Canada, and we need to change that like all over the world, because they're not captured properly at all, and they're not given good homes It's been proven over and over again. So
Pretty much any place that has animals in captivity, some of them like to say that they're great to the animals. Like, I mean, look at watching Tiger King, even, and they act like they're the best thing, but this person that's doing the same exact thing is doing terrible things to the animals. But in the end, they're all burying them in mass graves and feeding their husbands.
yeah, yeah. And so you've got that's the interesting thing about it is things like this could be dealt with a lot easier if people could just look at the logical side of it. But you have other people who cannot look at those things because whether it's money, whether it's educational. So it's been proven that there's no educational value in what places. I'm sitting here looking at the wrong camera. It's been proven that there's no educational value in what places like Marineland do. Now aquariums are cool, and zoos are cool, but like it almost endangers the purpose of a species. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, you've got the species that can be saved itself, but to me it endangers the purpose of it, because if you are born, bred, and live in captivity, you can't exactly fulfill your natural purpose, and that's for humans and animals and everything.
Mhm.
So it's interesting when these things pop up. You've got people on both sides, and that's the reason they're still in litigation. Canada finally listened and was like, okay, well, we need to change something for Phil, not just for Phil, but the animals and for all the people that agree with Phil and that are on his side. It's interesting because he's not even a vegan. I'm not vegan, and we're still like, there are still people who care that much, and I think it's important. So it's just going to take forever because of the people on both sides.
Yeah.
You've got people who still give Marineland money. There are people who pay. There are people who hear Phil's story and then they'll pay to get into Marineland just to be like, oh, I want to see Smooshi. Now, there are good reasons for doing that, like keeping Phil updated with Smooshi, because Marineland won't do it. They won't post how their animals are ever, because they know that they're just going to die anyways, because they're taken care of in the worst ways. And it's going to be an ongoing. I don't know when it's going to end. If you can stay in litigation for 8 years over something that's very natural and makes sense, like, first of all he wants is the walrus.
Yeah.
He stated that even in the documentary. He says, you know what? At this point, I'm tired of dealing with the courts. I'm tired of dealing with everything and everyone. Just give him the walrus. And it's like, okay, well, that seems fair, because then he can make sure it goes somewhere where it can be treated right and taken care of properly. It's wild. And the owner now of Marineland is dead, and they still can't get anything changed because
When
the
did that
company,
happen?
a few years ago, or last year, or the year before, I don't know, a couple of years ago maybe, or recent. It was recent. Because
So who's in control of it now?
I don't know, wife maybe, wife and kids probably. One kid is dead. I don't know if he has more, but son is dead too, who was actually very close with Phil. They were good friends. And so yeah, they've decided that they want to keep going with that. They want to.
So are they still trying to put a spin on it that they're actually good for these animals?
I don't know what their most recent claims are, but I know that before anytime anything was said, they were like, "Oh, well, this is just lies. Phil's just spewing lies," and that's not true. Obviously, I mean, there wouldn't be so many people backing him up, and if they had nothing to hide, well, I feel like they would.
Also, what does he have to gain from spreading lies like that? Like,
Exactly, nothing. He's not going to get any money from Marineland. Like, he didn't lose any money through them, so it can't be that type of lawsuit. You know what I mean? Like, he can't turn it into that. So I mean, it's very clear what he wants, and they're not going to give it to him because they know that once they give Smooshi away, which is the last living one, I mean, not the last living animal there that was when he was there, but a lot of them have died. A lot of them. I think that they know once they give up Smooshi, they're basically giving up their position, and they can't do that because, you know, they can't do that because it'll prove once everyone sees Smooshi in such terrible condition. She was already in rough shape. He says that in the documentary too, and shows the last time he saw her, she was in rough shape then. So tell him what she's like now.
And that was 8 years ago?
No, not 8 years ago. He's seen her more recently than that, but it's not too much more recent than that, might I add. I know that he's seen her, and there's videos on YouTube of her from 2019, and she looks bad. I mean, walruses are supposed to be fat and saggy, but they're not supposed to be too saggy. They're not supposed to drag all of their skin on the floor. You should not see their bone structures that well, and without pushing down on them. Like, you should not be. They're hungry for real food. First of all, they're put when they get there as baby wild caught dolphins and not fixed yet. They have to drink out of a bottle. They have to eat out of a bottle, and the goal was to get them on fish immediately. So they started food deprivation by bottle and fish, and then phased out the bottle and get them on a diet of fish. And that's, I think a walrus might eat a fish from time to time, but like, they need more than just a fish, just a small fish that has been messed with by people putting drugs in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
what? They only give them one fish at a time?
No, not just one fish at a time. Like, they'll give them more, but that's how they train them, is by food deprivation. Like, okay, we're hungry. Okay, I'll give you a fish if you do this. Okay, now you'll get another fish when you do this. And food deprivation is how they train them. And they've denied that. Every aquarium denies that, and not just every aquarium, but every I don't know what you would call an aquarium that has shows where they present the animals and the animals do tricks and things like that. But
just still an aquarium.
Yeah, still an aquarium, whatever. Yeah. So
is it like an amusement park too, like SeaWorld?
Basically, yeah, I think so. I believe it is. It's huge. I know that for sure. It's right in Niagara Falls. And so basically, since he left, try to get back into the story a little bit. Since he left, he's only seen Smooshi like 1 or 2 times, I think, and he's been banned from the park, obviously. And they're trying to paint him as this evil person who's trying to take down Marineland completely. It wouldn't have gone that far if they would have just been like, okay, we're doing some things wrong here. I can see it's a problem, Still stay open, still have your successful business, but they could have just changed some things, but they weren't even willing to do that because you've got an old man that came to the country with $2,000, and I don't even know his accent, but a small loan of $2,000. Came to the country with $2,000 in his pocket. I think he was too afraid of bad press, when sometimes that might be what a company needs to make some changes. But it's hard to see that when you've got only one successful business and you don't have anything else. Like, if your one business shuts down, that's it. So I think he was probably afraid of that, and he should have been more afraid of his family's legacy being destroyed, because that's what's going to happen here. Like,
he could transition the company into something completely different, though.
Yep.
Like, phase out the animal portion of Marineland.
You know what zoos and aquariums should be? Zoos and aquariums should be built, aquariums should be built underground on the coast.
Yeah.
And they should be built underground to where there's just tunnels that you can walk through. That's it. That's all you get. Because then, an animal is free to leave,
and
or
even
whatever.
Then, that's still encroaching upon the natural habitat. So
not too much, though, because...
But you've got to make that argument that it's still doing bad for the habitat by
possibly
going in there, and because you would have to dig it up and completely reroute everything.
That's true. You would have to do that as well. I don't know. There's got to be an answer, though. There's got to be a way for... Okay, so I guess that's just my nostalgia of going to the aquarium talking, because and that's probably true because yeah, it's always a fun time. But how do you fix that kind of thing? And it's one of those things. It's like, is there even a right answer?
Yeah.
Like, do you fix it or do you just destroy the
It's
business
finding
altogether, destroy the industry?
It's finding the best solution that works out for both sides,
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
which sometimes that just means we have to give up going to aquariums and stuff. So
Unfortunately, I think that's it.
because it's nice to have an outlet to go see animals that you wouldn't get to see otherwise.
Yeah,
But I can't think of many reasons why otherwise that it should be okay to do that and to keep them in captivity like that.
yeah, it really shouldn't be. I don't think. And like I said, I'm not even a vegan. I'm not even like animal rights all the time.
That's
But
what I'm
it
saying.
just
It's
seems like
kinda
the
like
wrong idea. Like I said, it's making their purpose extinct. Their purpose for life extinct. I think that's I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid.
because I'm vegetarian but not vegan, so like maybe they hate me too.
Well, it's not in this situation particularly. I don't think it's those things that matter. I think it's just the cruelty. If I'm even allowed to say that. I don't know about Facebook's rules. You can't say certain things on YouTube, even if they're not cursing. But so yeah, I think it's just about the cruelty, and I think we'll just have to rely on video games for that. Like, there's great things are happening with VR.
Yeah.
VR your aquarium. That's every aquarium has enough money to throw money into a virtual reality version of their own aquarium, so why not do that, And then you've got something that sells, and that's somewhere technology's headed anyways, is virtual reality. Maybe that's an answer.
And in that case, you don't even have to have the aquarium to begin with. You can just do like
Exactly.
National Geographic does and
and
go
you
out
can pay your aquarium people to do research, and they can become scientists, and voila, you've got a group of smart people now instead of people who are just told to be cruel to animals.
But then the question moves to the ethics of conservation, as you were saying, because saving an animal from extinction, we should be doing that, but when the whole point is that they're just going to be in captivity, and any of them that are born, they're not going to be able to necessarily be released back into the wilderness, then is there even a point in trying to save them other than to just have them be a fraction of what they should be?
It's a good thought. Some good thought input right there. I like that. I don't even know how to respond to that.
You went too deep.
Too deep, man. It's too crazy. So, overall, this specific podcast is, trying to just spread the word a little bit for Phil. And hopefully, he likes the song. I hope that everyone here doesn't hate it. But, if you hate it, just, you don't got to listen to it. Click another button next time.
Maybe we should play it again.
I think we will, yeah. We'll play it again. I want to find out how long we've been going.
It says down there at the bottom, 30 minutes.
Okay, cool.
That's pretty good for this one, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that both of us have pretty much gone through as much of the knowledge that we have about the topic at this point. So
yeah. I'm also going to post a link to the song, so I'll have that uploaded to YouTube right after this, after we take everything down. So yeah, we'll play it again, and if anybody wants to know more about the story, I can hopefully.
You can probably add the links into the description afterwards.
Yeah, I'll add links for the documentary. I'll add links for his podcasts on YouTube that he's done, and meet the guy yourself and like figure out who he is and learn the story. I don't do justice to any story unless it's my own. So
Even
yeah.
to your own.
Even to my own, I need someone else. I need that guy that Elton John has.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll play the song again. It's a picture of Phil and Smooshi, and you'll be able to see us just chilling. Yeah, we'll play it again, and then we'll be done with this one, I believe.
Who are we to hide and question what lies in front of these suggestions? Suing for the revolution to stop, as we all rose up to protest, we saw marching toward us with lawyers and serpents, agendas of greed and performing with no other purpose, trapped in a square surrounded by bars. The rest are all gone, and now she's only left with scars. Tell you what we're all gonna stand and do. Yet another approach, because we're still not impressed with you. I wonder even if you dare to say her name. Regardless of your answer, we all know you're to blame. And what's your name? Marine Wonderland is going down. It's a matter of time for the guilty are tried and down. If you people don't mind, I'll bring you along. Come along with me, sing old Phil and Smooshi a song like this. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. I'll be damned if I don't mention just one more thing. Every guilty person there deserves the sting of the truth and the lies revealed by us. They're going down anyways, so why don't we sing? La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la. Set Smooshi free. La 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 la.
All right, so that was that.
It's a fantastic song.
Fantastic, right there. So yeah, if anybody is interested more in the story, you can message me, or I'll have some links in my YouTube version of this and everything. I'll probably put some links on the Facebook as well. So yeah,
All right. See you later, guys.
see you later, alligator. I don't know when it's gonna work.
You can go ahead and hit it.